Hey, friends, thank you so much for joining me on a solo episode of Real Talk, where I love to share with you about living the elevated life and how to create a life and business you're excited to wake up to. And today I'm going to talk to you about the haters, the critics, which we all have and we all deal with. And really, those relationships, those situations that we're in where we feel we're being hated on or feel like we're being criticized are actually what grow us the most and teach us the most. And earlier this week, I had someone share with me that I was the queen of dealing with haters, and it made me laugh and it made me reflect. So that's what inspired me to come on today and create this episode. It's very hurtful to have haters and critics. And as I mentioned, they are our greatest teachers. What we want to realize is oftentimes that the haters are triggering something inside of us that we already feel to be true. That's why we get triggered by them. Because oftentimes, if someone says something and it really activates us, it's because there's a part of us that we need to really look at and heal. And I know it's not easy to be judged, to be talked about, to have people create rumors about you or tell lies about you. It's terrible. It's a horrible feeling, especially when you're working to create a successful business, to create, an elevated life. And then you hear these statements and you just get activated. And it really is not only our teacher, but it's also a distraction. The way it is a teacher is when there is a hateful comment shared about you, kind of really feel into it. What about that comment is triggering you? And that will help you uncover stories that you're telling yourself about yourself that are not true. So, right there, the haters helping you gain awareness. Also, oftentimes, I think there's a difference between haters and critics. Haters are typically what I believe to be just really insecure people because hurt people hurt people. Critics, I believe, are those who are just projecting their own beliefs onto you. I'll give you an example. When I first started in the staffing industry, it was during the dot-com era, and I was told that going into staffing was going to be a tremendous mistake. I should definitely jump on the dot-com, and I was going to fail going into staffing. So that was a critical statement, critical perspective. However, the person didn't mean to be hateful towards me. They were just projecting their own belief around the situation. Thankfully, I didn't listen. And I kind of usually beat to the rhythm of my own drum. And I stayed with the path that I felt was right for me. Now, that person was being critical. However, they weren't being hateful. They were coming up from a place of genuine concern because they were just projecting their belief onto me. Now, a hater is just someone who lies, gaslights, gossips, um, makes up rumors. So I want to kind of have that distinction. Both of those are teachers for us because they teach us how to really step into our sense of self, and they teach us how to understand our triggers and to gain awareness. Because the more we get triggered, the more we give our power away. The more we get triggered, the more distracted we are. The more distracted we are, the more we get pulled from creating that life and business we're excited to wake up to. And we get to choose. Again, it's hurtful. I'm not going to front. For many years, I would ruminate and be devastated by the statements or the rumors that were circulating around about me. I mean, who wants that? Especially when you're working hard to create a life, a business, and a reputation. Like you're working really hard, and then you have these, individuals tarnishing your name. It doesn't feel good. But also, again, they're the greatest teacher. For me, it motivated me to be the best that I can at all times. And it also motivated me to dig into those triggers. And I had a very deep need to be liked, to be accepted. And looking outside of ourselves for validation is going to continue to keep us in a self-sabotaging cycle. And so really these people that come into our lives that shake things up are helping us really dive deep into our inner self and heal those parts of us that are still reaching for validation from the outside world. And when we can really be honest with ourselves and uncover, okay, where do I need validation? Which area of my life? Because that's the area that you're obviously going to be triggered the most in. Do I need to be accepted? Well, of course, all of us have a need to belong, to be liked. However, if we're attaching our self worth and our sense of self to that validation, we're going to be chasing the dragon for the rest of our lives. And I remember one time I was listening to Steve Harvey, and he said, "This is how I deal with my haters. I don't. Let them talk. I don't want to waste my energy dealing with haters when I know who I am." And I've had to work really hard on getting to the space I am today, but all of it was internal self work, the self worth, the self care, knowing who I am, knowing I'm a child of the Most High God. Now, it doesn't mean we don't take accountability for our actions. It doesn't mean that we're not disciplined, committed, and consistent with the actions that, you know, we do take. For us to create, a life and business we're excited to wake up to, we do need to take accountability. And if there are, critics or haters, also, does anything they say have validity? Be really raw and honest with yourself. Also consider the source. If there's, someone giving you or hating on you, and you consider the source, meaning, how do I want to say this without being harsh? But someone that doesn't have your best interest at heart. It's someone that maybe is wants wants you to benefit them. You don't really need to listen to their criticism and their hate. But if it's someone who really cares about you and they're offering you a suggestion, definitely listen, because oftentimes we don't see our blind spots, and we do need someone who loves us and cares about us to say, hey, you know what, this is where you need, to do some work. I love that. Be open to that. Be open to constructive criticism, and be discerning and consider the source of where this criticism is coming from. And I learned many years ago, and I will continuously talk about this because this principle is so powerful. The most empowered person in the room is the person who takes nothing personal. That is the most empowered person in the room. Friends, it's Grace Redman. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you here at Real Talk. If you've been inspired by what you're hearing and you're ready to take things to the next level, I would be honored to work with you. If you're a leader or entrepreneur ready to soar, I offer one-on-one coaching to help you create a business and life of freedom that you are excited to wake up to. And if you're craving something more intimate, I offer a personal VIP day that includes deep dive coaching, a nature walk, and an early dinner. I promise you will leave just feeling rejuvenated. If this speaks to you, please reach out and let's do this together. You can find me at www.graceredman.com. Now, back to the program. They take nothing personal. Doesn't mean you don't feel the trigger, because our triggers are giving us information. Lean into it. Ask yourself, what does this mean? What am I making it mean about me? Lean into it. And also, when you're easily manipulated and easily triggered, you're easily controlled. You're giving your power away. And that is the last thing we want to do, is give our power away. We want to bring our power back to us. We want to be grounded in our power. And when we are so easily offended, then we're easily controlled. We're easily controlled. And one of the qualities of high performers are is they are really masters at managing their emotions. And this is what it's about. It's not about, okay, being a doormat. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you know yourself so well, and you are so grounded in who you are. You know you are a child of the Most High God, that the hate that's coming is not going to shake you. Again, are you going to feel it? Yeah, I'm sure. But I'm gonna be transparent. There's times now, there's definitely some hate thrown at me. Just a couple days ago, as a Palestinian American, I saw someone online that said F the Palestinians. And I felt very neutral, because I know who I am as a person, as a Palestinian American. And so typically I ignore those comments, but this time I felt inclined to write something back. And I did, from a place of neutrality and power, and also love, because obviously, if this person's going to go on social media, and someone in our business community is going to go on media and write a comment like that, then obviously there's something not going right with them. Um, because hurt people. The beauty in that was, several years ago, I would have been so triggered, so upset. It would have just taken my energy and my power away. And then I would have ruminated over it. And then I would have spent the whole day just out of sorts. That's the other thing. When we give our power away and we're not grounded, we don't have the ability to create for our lives and businesses in a way that is resourceful. We give away our resources when we're distracted by those types of comments and situations. And look, I know it's easier said than done. I'm sharing from a place of neutrality, whereas there's many times that I wasn't neutral, but I've made it a game to be as neutral as possible. And it doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean that you're passive. It means that you have this incredible sense of emotional intelligence and awareness to also, if you want to deal with the situation, you're coming at it from a much higher energy vibration. And actually, that gentleman ended up apologizing to many of us and deleting the post, because I came from a very high energy, a high vibration. And there are times where you don't even really need to engage, because when you engage, you're lighting the fire, and then you're just going back and forth. Not engaging also keeps you in your power. And you get to discern. I mean, there are going to be situations where you are going to want to engage. Make sure that you're a place of neutrality. And look, our emotions, anger, fear, frustration, all of those emotions we feel are absolutely valid. We need to feel those emotions, because oftentimes those emotions help move us to make different decisions, to step outside the box. It's just not continuously moving from that place, because being in those emotions put us in a fight or flight response. And when we're in a fight or flight response, we're in a survival mode. And when we're in survival mode, we are less resourceful, and we have less cognitive functioning to be able to help us come up with creative, expansive solutions and ideas. So I'm not, saying let's completely dismiss how we're feeling. I'm saying let's practice getting to a place of empowerment and neutrality with the haters and the judgment and the critics, so we're not giving our power away, so that we're staying in our power. And also, again, having these people in our lives are the greatest teachers, because we're also exploring, they help us explore patterns, they help us or reveal our own patterns. So everything that's happening to us is happening for us. And if we think it's happening to us, we're in a victim mentality, and we want to move out of that mentality. And I don't want this to seem like, okay, well, you don't get to vent, or you don't get to be heard, or you don't get to be seen. Of course you do. And what I would suggest, if there is a situation where you feel like you really do need to vent and be seen, I would be discerning on where you share that. Find someone that you know has your best interest at heart, someone that cares about you, that can hold that safe space for you to just empty out whatever you're feeling, because it's important to empty out and to really express what you're feeling, and to express your fear, and to express your anger, and to express your frustration, and to express your pain and your grief. It's important for us to let that out, because if we don't, it does live in our body, and then that also affects us. So I play this hater critic situation as a game. And how neutral can I get? Because there's really something empowering about staying in your power. And so many times I've heard some of the greatest teachers share about how to deal with the haters. And oftentimes the answer is you don't. And I love the analogy of the eagle. I love the eagle. So the eagle, the crows are constantly nipping at the eagle's tail, like constantly nipping the eagle, flying with the eagle, but the eagle ends up flying to such a high altitude that the crows fall away. And so living the elevated life and creating a life in business you're excited to wake up to, imagine yourself like the eagle, continuously soaring into higher levels of vibration, whereas those naysayers, the haters, the critics fall off, and you get to be an example and an inspiration to others who are interested in elevating and giving back to humanity and doing the work. The inner work is the business work. And so many of us are just really not even aware that there's inner work to be done. And you know, there's always inner work to be done for all of us, for us to grow and expand and make this a better place. So thank you for listening and watching. I just want you to know I appreciate you. I love you. And you are the mustard seed that is going to help us create a better world, more humanity, more awareness, and more love. Thank you. I'll see you next time.